I intend to join those tomorrow night who vote against military action now. It is for that reason, and that reason alone, and with a heavy heart, that I resigned from the government.
The ladies not for turning.
Thousands of blind people are having to march through the streets of London to hang on to their disability living allowance. What a savage indictment of this lousy, rotten propped up by these pathetic liberals.
And if the government had had its way, we would not have even seen any of these receipts at all, redacted or otherwise, because that's always been the attitude from the House of Commons officials, is that we, the public, have no right to know what our elected officials do with our money and supposedly in our name.
I resigned because I believe that Chapter was set on a course of action that could ultimately lead to violence, to eviction, to protesters being forcibly moved on. And all that I've done in the last couple of weeks, is it just a couple of weeks? Seems longer than that, has been to try and sort this situation out without there being any force used in the name of the church, which I believe would be wrong.
And you come here, Mr. Samaras, and you tell us that you represent the sovereign will of the Greek people. Well, I'm sorry, but you're not in charge of Greece, and I suggest you rename and rebrand your party. It's called New Democracy. I suggest you call it No Democracy.
Fine, Nick, isn't it about time you apologise to the British people for your party's long history of anti-Semitism, homophobia and attacks on the Muslim community? This is the BNP in action. Look at it. It's done. Why don't you apologise for your anti-Semitism, homophobia and attacks on the Muslim community? The British people are owed an apology, Nick.
The tragedy of our generation is that at the moment when the great nations of Asia have learnt the virtues of decentralization, competition, of enterprise, of the diffusion of power, we in the European Union are going in the opposite direction.
Now, Mr. Bloom, what do you make of the front cover of this, the conference brochure with no black faces on it?
What a racist comment is that? How dare you? That's an appalling thing to say. You're picking people out for the colour of their skin. You disgust me. Get out of my way.
Well, but I mean, I'm making the point that you haven't got... What's appalling about making that point?
You, sir, are a racist.
Why am I racist for saying there aren't any black people?
And you've checked out the colour of people's faces? Disgraceful. You're disgraceful.
I'm not voting out of absolute indifference and weariness and exhaustion from the lies, treachery, deceit of the political class that has been going on for generations now, and which has now reached fever pitch, where we have a disenfranchised, disillusioned, despondent underclass that are not being represented by that political system. So voting for it is tacit complicity with that system, and that's not something I'm offering up.
Senator, in everything I said about Iraq, I turned out to be right and you turned out to be wrong.
I have divided politicians into two categories, the signposts and the weathercocks. The signpost says this is the way we should go, and you don't have to follow them, but if you come back in 10 years' time, the signpost is still there. The weathercock hasn't got an opinion till they've looked at the polls, talked to the focus groups, discussed it with the spin doctors, and I have no time for weathercock. I'm a signpost man.